So hello everyone and welcome back. And in this lecture, I'm going to tell you about how you can set up your Anaconda environment. So we have successfully installed Anaconda, and let's now go to our start menu. So in the start menu, as you come down in the A category, you will see Anaconda folder. This contains several packages. Now, right now I will use only Anaconda Prompt. But later on, when I'm doing the Python tutorial, I will also use Jupyter Notebook. So let me start with Anaconda Prompt. So this is Anaconda Prompt. Anaconda Prompt is like a command line, right? So basically, it's a little command line where we can run our commands, where we can launch the circuit simulator and everything else. So I prefer to use command line, and I would also recommend that if you are really serious about programming, you should get used to command line. So first and foremost, let's increase the font a little because it's a bit small. Might be hard to see, so I'm going to just go to 16, go to let's say 24, and now we have a nice big font. So the first thing you need to know is we have what is called as the base installation, right? So you see here in base in parentheses, this is the default environment. And as I spoke before about environments, an environment is what we're going to create. So let's first check out what is the version of Python we have. And it's the version Python 3.7.3. Now, in order to be able to create an environment, let's go over to the page for creating it. So first, let's open Google again, good old Google. And let's type managing Anaconda environments. So the first link gives you a how-to page in order to do what you need, in order to create these environments. I'll just close this because so this one tells you everything we need to know. So for example, it tells you how to create an environment. It tells you how you can create an environment with a particular Python version and things like that. So let me start bit by bit and let me create a few test environments just so that you can also practice what all you want to do. So first, let's go over to a browser and let's just copy this. So I'm creating an environment called my environment. So let's change this to test, just to make sure that test. And let's press enter. So what this means is conda create -- name means this name is a parameter. -- name means this is an argument, and whatever comes after this is the value of the argument. So I'm creating an environment called test. So this shows that we've successfully created the environment, right? So it gave us a prompt saying yes or no, and I just pressed yes. So that's it. So now the question is, how do we know it was actually created? So for that, there's a command. Conda info --envs. That means give me the information about the environments that are there in this system. So let's press enter. And you see these are the environments that are there. So the first one is base, which is always there. If you install Anaconda, you will always have the base environment, and this star next to it means that this is the active environment. But I have just created my test, and that shows up here. So I have now created another environment, and it has been successfully created. So how do I now activate this? Let me go over to this. So creating an environment. So you are now creating an environment. And then you have to activate your environment. See, remember, it is the name that appears in the parentheses here that is the active environment. So we still are the default environment. We need to activate this. And for that, we say conda activate with the name of the environment. So I'm going to do that. And now you see test appears in the parentheses here. So let's run that command again. Let me list out our environments. And there are the same two environments, but you see here the star is next to the test. So it is now, test is my active environment, not base. So I have now activated. So now that I am in this new environment, let me check out what my Python version is. You see, we have created an environment, but it has not installed anything. Now the question is this. The reason is I asked it to create an environment, but it did not install any version of Python into it. Alright. So there are two ways. I'm going to show you another command specifically where I'm going to show you how you can install a particular version. You can create an environment by specifying a particular version of Python. But let me go up again, and you see creating an environment with commands. The first one is what we used. It created a base blank environment. Next, there is another one which says conda create, again dash name is just dash n is just a short form. My environment Python is equal to 3.4. I am specifying the version of Python I want to use. So let's go and change it. Let's create another one called test1. So I am creating another environment called test1, and I am stating that I want Python 3.6 installed. Remember, before I had not specified anything and there was no version of Python. It did not even install Python. But now I am saying install Python 3.6 into this new environment. So let's do that. So it has finally managed to resolve the packages which need to be installed. So here, if you see, there is a big difference between what we get now and before. So let's scroll up and you'll see what happened. In the previous case, when I was creating just the test1 without specifying a Python version, it created this environment, but it did not download any packages. It just said proceeded yes or no. It did not download any packages. Now there is a difference. Now it is creating the environment and it is specifying that this will contain Python 3.6, right? And it's saying that there are going to be some other packages which need to be downloaded. Why? Because Python 3.6 needs them. These are dependencies. And this is the advantage of using a package installer, that it will not only install the package that you have specified, it will also install the dependencies that that package needs. So you see all these other packages are being installed. And most importantly, it is installing Python 3.6 and 0.8, which is what we specified. So here we can just specify yes, because we can continue, we are okay with this. And it will take its time to install. I suppose I could just pause the video for a while and come back. And it has finally created the test environment. As before, to know whether this has really been created, we just use our old command. And you see, now it has created this new test environment. The star is still at test because that is what is still active. But it doesn't matter. We can always activate it using this command, conda activate test1. So let's do that. And now you see the name has changed within the parentheses. Now test1 is active. So let's again run the command python -v. And now you see we have a version of Python 3.6.8. So we have created two test environments. We've created an environment test which is blank. We have not specified anything, so it is an empty environment. That's not a problem. We can always install what we want. And we've created another environment called test1 where we have specified a version of Python 3.6 and it has given us 3.6.8, which is probably the latest version within 3.6. So now the next question is, can we also install Python within test? The answer to that is yes. Let's go and activate test again. So let's again so again you see the name has changed within the parentheses. Let's confirm that we don't have a Python version. You say no, it isn't. So now let's go back to our info page, and let's click on this link saying manage packages, managing packages. So this gives you everything you need, how you can search and install packages within this Conda environment. So you see, if I want to install a particular package, like this is an example of installing the scientific Python package, which is SciPy. You can say conda install -- name mynv SciPy. You are saying install SciPy, the package, inside the environment my environment. Now, you do not have to specify this my environment if my environment is the active environment. So, if my environment is the active environment, you can skip this name and just say conda install SciPy. In that case, it will install in whichever is the environment which is active. So let's try that out. Let's try to install Python. And as before, it has resolved what needs to be installed. So now let's look at what happened. It is saying added updated specs. What it means, this is what you asked for. That's what it's saying. You have asked for Python, and so therefore I have added this spec to this environment. Well and fine. Now, it is choosing, saying that these are the packages which will be installed. Now, I have only specified Python. I didn't even specify the version. It has chosen the latest version that is available with this particular package, Anaconda distribution installation. Remember, we installed Python 3.7. So, it is picked up the latest version of Python that is available, 3.7.3. Right? We didn't even specify that it should be 3.7. We just said install Python, but it's picked up the latest version of Python. And it has also picked up certain dependencies which are needed. We didn't specify these, but it says for Python to work well, I need all these. So, as before, we just have to say yes and let it install. As before, it will take some time, so I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. So it is finally completed. Now, to verify, again, let's check out the version of Python. And you see, before it was giving Python not found. Now it's saying Python 3.7.3. So, let's go back and find out what we've done so far. Let's check out our environments. So we have the base, and we have test, and we have test 1. Test is what is active now. We have 3.7.3. Let's check out what's there in test 1. So now it's at test 1 that's active. The version of Python is 3.6.8. So we have now created two different containers. One container having 3.7.3, the other having 3.6.8, and these are isolated. So we could have two different projects in these two containers with two totally different Python packages. Now this is a great way to actually test your projects when a new version of Python comes out. Quite often when a new version of Python comes out, you don't want to just upgrade everything because there may be bugs, there may be errors, something may break, you never know. So the best thing is create a new environment, install those packages, and check if your software still works, if your project still works. If your project works okay, then go ahead and upgrade everything and you can release a new version. So that's a great way of doing it. Now that we've done all this, I'm going to end this lecture now. But before that, I will just say that in the next stage, I'm going to talk about how to install Python Power Electronics, and I'll be creating another environment for that. But this time, I will be using two methods. One, I'll be using the raw method of installing, like with test and test 1. And in the other case, I'll be using another inbuilt method of using another package, but I'll be using a requirements.txt file as a package installer. So with this, if you have any questions about this, or if anything didn't work out, or if you were trying this and something else happened, you got some other error messages, post in the Q&A forum and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I'll just see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye for now.